Did another door just open in the portal of pro wrestling? But before we get to that, I'm Rob the Wrestling Old Head here in the portal of pro wrestling. You've just entered the vortex. Wrestling fan of 36 years with an opinion on the current product, and this is a wrestling community safe space. Now, the Forbidden Door. Is this going to be better for all companies? Because WWE has decided to enter the portal of the Forbidden Door and open their own door up to other companies. We saw a little tease of that for New Japan and All Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan, more subtle than anything, but All Japan definitely had Charlie Dempsey, William Regal's son, a part of one of their events, showing at this time at NXT. Now, if you remember, in January, she showed up for the WWE Royal Rumble as the TNA Knockouts champion. A couple of years ago, Mickie James did the same thing. So this deal with TNA has been, I'd say, pretty much long-standing. But this deal seems to be a bit different. By different, I mean that we very well could be seeing a When Worlds Collide in the WWE. So there's so many things to talk about, so many steps here, but I do want to make it known that if you haven't been paying attention to the channel, I am an impartial marshal. I don't sway from one side to the other. I am going to give you my honest opinion at all times, but I am not here to be anti-WWE, anti-AEW. I'm pro-AEW. I'm pro-WWE because I am pro-wrestling. Now, with that outside and that out of the way, I will say, though, AEW's Forbidden Door was kind of a one-way door, wasn't it? I mean, let's be honest here. The Forbidden Door, it wasn't really that revolving. When TNA had their Forbidden Door deal with the AEW, Tony Khan, if you remember, he showed up and, well, he kind of took over. Kenny Omega ran roughshod over the heavyweight division. And there wasn't a lot of TNA on AEW television. So, with that being said, I couldn't personally say that that was much of a Forbidden Door, right? I mean, because you fantasize about the Forbidden Door being like Marvel versus Capcom, the best versus the best, and who's going to come out on top, right? But that, I didn't see that for the TNA one. Let's fast forward to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, this is a little bit different because you've got the best against the best. I'm liking all that stuff, except the best of NJPW became superstars in AEW. So it seemed like more of a talent raid than anything. Kazuchika Okada, Jay White, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis, even Hiroshi Tanahashi showed up a lot. Kota Ibushi, Tomohiro Ishii. They had a lot of showings, but Tomohiro Ishii is still in NJPW. But that aside, a lot of the guys did show up and end up eventually signing with AEW. The best and biggest one, I'm forgetting, Will Ospreay. NJPW Elite is now, and of course Kenny Omega, but that's going back far enough to where Kenny Omega was going to sign along with AEW anyways. That's being semantics. That's a semantical argument there. But I will say, isn't looking so formidable, isn't looking so dream match-esque, if you will. So what do you do with that? I mean, the Forbidden Door was all about the top of the top wrestling and dream match scenarios that you can only envision on some fantasy message board on Reddit or something, right? But now all of the top stars of NJPW are currently working for AEW, and NJPW is going through a little bit of a reset, if you will. They're trying to build from their young core eventual superstars. So then the WWE goes and has Jordan Grace show up on NXT, and everybody's talking, including the Twitterverse, where Drew McIntyre is going back and forth with Joe Hendry. Moose is calling out Drew McIntyre. I mean, it's so exciting, and everybody's coming up with these dream match scenarios. Could AEW be watching WWE do what they should have done? Opening that revolving door and giving both companies a chance to shine on either show. Now, another argument would be that, well, TNA didn't have national television coverage, so it would be a huge favor and probably one-sided if they brought the TNA wrestlers onto AEW Dynamite, giving them airtime and wins. But some kind of a deal could have been worked out, because what you're seeing right now with the WWE, I must say, it looks a lot more promising. You got Jordan Grace, you've got potentially Moose. I mean, Joe Hendry has been built for AEW or for NXT. He's built for NXT. Let's just keep it real. It'll be amazing to see him. And given the opportunity, you may see guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels in the TNA Hall of Fame. That would be huge. It's a crime that they are not in the TNA Hall of Fame. Just look at this stuff. You're probably watching it right now going, this actually happened? Yes. I mean, on the other side, I paid for this. And I paid for this. Yes, I paid for that. It was weekly pay-per-views, and I paid for that. Hardcore fan right here. Hardcore wrestling fan, let's be clear. But yes, TNA did have some great wrestling, including this guy, and this guy. Yes, they were all in TNA at one point, and they got me hooked with TNA wrestling. And they almost could have been a formidable challenge for the WWE. So I was really excited, and I'd love to see them in the Hall of Fame eventually. So that's why I was wondering also why Scott D'Amore might have been released. Maybe the TNA higher-ups over at Anthem Sports were looking at a different picture. Maybe they weren't looking to become contenders in the top 3 companies in professional wrestling. Maybe they're looking to sell. And that TNA library is probably worth a lot of money. And WWE could be in the ballpark for that acquisition. And if they acquire TNA, Impact Wrestling, could be huge. Real huge. A lot of their superstars and AEW superstars are in that tape library. And if AEW has Ring of Honor, then I don't see why WWE would not go after TNA's library. So it would make sense why they let Scott D'Amore go and appoint somebody from Anthem to their head of CEO for TNA. It's probably because they weren't looking at the bigger picture. They were looking to sell the company. And if that's true, it could be huge. And that's just me theorizing, trying to look at the big picture here from a business perspective. But it would also show that they're not trying to let those guys from TNA look like slubs or shrubs or scrubs or jabrones. They're probably going to make them look really good, because very soon they could be a part of the WWE. That's just my guess. You guys let me know in the comments. What do you think? Could the AEW Forbidden Door really be in trouble? And could WWE's Forbidden Door be the future? Let me know in the comments. Rob the Wrestling Old Head letting you guys know. Stay tuned for more. See you soon.